In this video, I'm going to be going over Maschine Chords, which was just added a couple weeks ago. I'm a little late to the party, but I wanted to make a video on it because it was a feature that I have been asking for years. The fact that we can add user chords to Maschine Chords. And the implementation has a long ways to go. We can't just use a keyboard to play a chord and have it register as a chord on our user chords. We have to go in and punch the notes in by hand. And then also, if you want to rename your chords, you have to open a text editor, change the name in the text editor, save the file, and then reopen your project. It's not like you can do it in real time while you're working on your chords. I'm also going to show you in this video how you could use something like ChatGPT or Gemini, I'm going to use that here, to generate some cool chords for you so you don't have to know anything about music theory and fancy chords, and you can actually get it to tell you exactly what note names to punch in to the chord set and get going on some chords for yourself. So that's what this video is going to be all about. Let's get right into it. So we're just going to load up the basic Phoenix patch, I think. So the way this works now is you hit the chords button, we're going to go down to user chord, and we're going to press this user chord button up top to start editing. If you click a note, you'll see that it goes white. And right now I'm on a really weird scale, a whole half diminished scale. So yeah, let's change that. Either chromatic or major or minor. In my case, I might want to do some juicier chords, so I might want to leave it on chromatic. But if you set it to something like major or minor, that means the notes you can use in your user chords are going to be limited to a major scale. So you're not getting any of those in-between notes. So if you're just doing more pop stuff, you won't even need to worry about that. But if you're doing jazzy stuff, then you'll want to go to chromatic. So we go to chromatic, and now we have the option of all 12 notes. So I'm going to get rid of those. And this preview button lets you hear as you're going along. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to punch a minor chord in, and we're going to add some juicier notes in there. We'll make it a 7 chord. Now we've got this interesting chord, and I press preview. And we get to hear the chord, which is actually a really neat system. I was wondering how they were going to do that. If you can't play it in, like you can see, I can even trigger these notes here with my keyboard, but there's no way for me to capture that chord into this system. Like I should be able to play a chord and it would pop up all of those white notes, but that's not the case yet, so hopefully that comes in the future. If you need notes that are outside of the 16 you've got here, all you have to do is go up the octave, and now we can start adding notes in beyond that. So we can go, higher up the keyboard, basically. So now, so that's how you make your first chord. If I go out of user chord now, you can see I've got chord 1 has notes on it. The next one doesn't. And it even goes orange to show you that you've got notes on there. If I go to the set, you can see that there are 16 sets of chords that we can possibly do. So you should be able to have, 16 sets of jazzy lo-fi chords, and then you should have 16 sets of pop chords. So hopefully that comes in the future, we'll see. You can also see that once you've made your chord, there's a couple other options. Like you can say, what is the velocity of this chord if I just have fixed velocity turned on? And so now fixed velocity is set, and I have it set at a certain point. I can take that off. Now we get different velocities. Now here's another weird one, root position. My root position thing doesn't work at all, but I watched Physent's video on this, and he was using the position and actually was changing for him. So I don't know what you're doing on that one, dude, but let me know, because I can't get it to work, and I'll send you to Physent's video so you can see how he's using it. Let me know in the comments if it's working for you, but it ain't working for me. I don't know why. I tried switching out Maschine Plus versus Maschine. It wasn't that, but I don't know. I guess I'm just lucky. But I did find out that the root position thing changes the position of all of your chords. So it's not like it's going to change just one chord. And what that means is if you have a chord that's like, say, like a C minor chord, just a triad, if you change the position, it's moving the bottom note up to the top. And if you change the position again, puts that note, it just keeps switching the bottom note up to the top. So you're going up the keyboard. So that's the 2 pages of choices you get once you've made your own chords. Now we need to figure out how to punch in some fun chords. And especially if you're not trained in music theory, this could get really hard to do and could be extremely frustrating. I'm going to start from scratch, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to ChatGPT, or in this case, Gemini, and we're going to use AI for good instead of evil. And this could be a really neat way that AI helps musicians, for sure. We are going to ask Gemini, make me a cool lo-fi chord progression. Okay, cool. So they've got some really great tips here. So A minor 7 to D minor 7 to G major 7 to C major 7. And it's even showing us the notes that you could punch in, which is great. Why this works for lo-fi. Seventh chords adds those harmonic richness, which is true. Stepwise bass movement. Notice how the root notes of the chords, A, D, G, C, create a smooth descending bass line. A, D, G, C. That's kind of cool. A, D, G, C. So we're doing this thing called cycle of fifths. And it's, yeah, it's nice. It sounds good. Emotional arc. Ooh, telling us how those chords in that progression will make you feel emotions. Imagine that. I mean, emotions from artificial intelligence. So anyways, we've got these tips from Gemini. I love this. This is actually really cool. I don't think it's cool enough. So we're going to say add extensions to the chords to make them more complex. Original progression. The new progression has an A minor 9. So we've got an extra note in there for added juice. Add even more complex extensions. C, E, G, B, D, F sharp. I love those kind of chords. Okay, great. This is looking good. But it's not quite long enough. I want a few more chords. Make the progression a lot longer. So there you go. There's some prompts you can punch in to get some cool chords, all with the note names. Now all we have to do is go punch these into our user chords, and then we're going to end up with a bunch of chords that we can play with. All right, here we go. So we're on set 1. I'm on chord 1. I go to user chord, and I start punching it in. A minor 11. I'm going to go down the octave, add the A, and then the C, go up the octave, and then we got E, G, B, D. All right, there's our first chord. Sounds lovely. Let's go to the next chord, and then I'll fast forward. All right, so I've got all my chords in there. Here they are. I just need some kind of like dominant 7 chord, this sort of A minor thing. So I'm going to go reset that chord and make my own chord. And I definitely think you should learn about chords if you can, and find courses, find free videos on YouTube. I've got some chord theory videos that I'll post in the comments of my video as well. So make sure you check that out. Sorry, not in the comments, in the description. I always say that. So let's add one E7 chord in here. That's a fun chord. And now the last thing I want to do is name them so that I can actually see what I'm playing. So I'm going to leave my little cheat sheet up here. And this is where we're going to go hack into the mainframe, find our user chord preset, store it on the computer, and that is under your library, application support, native instruments, shared user chords. Make sure it opens in something like a text editor, and you're just going to go in and change the name of chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, etc. to whatever chord you want your chord to be named. So our first one is A minor 11. So I'll fast forward this. I've got all my chords put in except for the last one, which is an E7 sharp 9. We're just going to call that E Jeff. Just for now, so you can see how you can call it whatever you want. And I'm going to save that JSON file, and then I have to reopen Maschine, which kind of stinks because if you're doing one chord at a time, you're doing all the saving and closing and reopening and stuff, but whatever, it is what it is. All right, so now let's go to chords, and I'm on user chords, set 1, and look at this. We've got beautiful names on all of our chords. So with only 642 steps, you too can get all of your own custom chords on Maschine. But it is cool. This is something I've wanted forever, and I finally got it. Maybe in the future I make a bunch of cool chord presets and post them online so that you guys can have them. Or you could just go generate them in your favorite AI program of choice. And in my opinion, that's a really cool usage of that technology. And especially because it's got all sorts of stuff you can learn from it as well. So make sure you check that out if you're new to these kind of funky chords. Let's have a listen now and see how this works. Don't forget, just switching it up and down to semitone can have really fun consequences as well. This is a kit from the Hot List. Okay, so let's play around with this. Go. Already got kind of a fun little idea going there just by playing with a couple of those chords, moving them around, and then now I end up with, you know, the chords, the MIDI information in my project. You can of course use the arpeggiator, and I'll let you go watch Fizzent to see how you can do that. And what else could you do with this? Well, so let's just load up a bass instrument of some sort. All I'm going to do is copy that MIDI information over to the bass patch, and then now I am going to erase all the top notes so that all I get is the bottom note, which is going to become our bass line. And that sounds nasty because it's too low. Let's select all the notes and just move them up the octave. And then now that I've got that in there, you can follow that sort of technique of making the bass note hit every time there's a kick note. So let's just change this up. Another kick right here. We're going to use the new MIDI editing tools, we'll resize these a little bit, and then we're going to cut them short. Do the same thing right there. So I'm just going to copy this one over, Command C, Command V, start getting a groove going on. Same thing there. We're just going to keep doing this little pattern on those ones so that it lines up with the kick. And then you could do something like maybe Option drag this, take it down the octave. There we go. So there you go. You keep going through, add your bass line pulled out of the MIDI information from our chords, and get yourself a little idea going on. So there's some hot tips for you. And if you want to see more of these kinds of things, dig into my expansion videos, because a lot of the expansion videos, I show you how to use the sounds in it, but also show you some fun little techniques to get you going. If there's other stuff you want to see on my channel, make sure you let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this far, if you made it this far. And honestly, thanks Native Instruments for adding this new feature, something I've wanted forever, and I have hopes that it will be further refined in the future to allow us things like playing from the keyboard, dropping them right in, and then also renaming the files right inside the editor. I think that would be a really nice feature. But something like this could be really useful for live usage. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.